Hello, friends. I am your host, Matt Gore, and welcome back to the History Revolution podcast. The purpose of the History Revolution is to help homeschool parents teach their children American history. Today, we're going to meet a guy who was short in height, but huge in brains, James Madison. He was the fourth president of the United States and the father of the Constitution, but he was shorter than your average middle schooler. I want to take this opportunity to introduce our brand new free ebook about our founding fathers, including James Madison, called Behind the Wigs, The Untold Stories of America's Founding Fathers. Did I mention it's free? The link to the book is in the description. Now let's explore the father of the Constitution, James Madison. March 16th, 1751, James Madison is born in Virginia on a big farm called Montpelier. James was born into wealth, but he's not exactly superhero material. He's tiny, he's sickly, and probably the kid who'd rather read a book than wrestle a bear. To be honest, who wants to wrestle a bear? They say he was about 5 feet 4 inches tall. Shorter than most of you listening right now. James didn't let his small stature hold him back, though, and he ended up taller in history than anyone could have expected. James grew up with tutors because he was too frail for regular school. He thirsted for knowledge, though, and loved reading about kings, wars, and the ancient Greeks. At 18, he headed to the College of New Jersey, now known as Princeton, and turned himself into a study machine. Legend has it that he once studied so hard he forgot to sleep for days. Nerd alert! But all that brain power would definitely pay off later, so hang tight. Fast forward to the 1770s. America was getting rowdy. Colonists were mad at England. Tea was getting dunked in the harbor, and the American Revolution was brewing. James is in his 20s. And while he wasn't swinging a sword, he was fighting with ideas. He joined Virginia's government and started writing laws. Oh, and here's a fun fact. He was so shy that he mumbled his speeches and hid behind taller guys. Imagine him whispering, "Freedom is good, okay?" while Patrick Henry was screaming, "Give me liberty or give me death." But James hit his stride after the war in 1787 at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. Picture a hot, sweaty room full of American leaders like George Washington, Ben Franklin, and Alexander Hamilton arguing about how to run a new country. Madison showed up with a plan called the Virginia Plan, and it's like he was the teacher's pet with extra credit. His idea? A strong government with 3 parts. A Congress to make laws, a president to lead and enforce those laws, and courts to keep things fair. Sound familiar? That's because that became our Constitution. And Madison's the guy who basically wrote the entire first draft. He's known as the father of the Constitution. Not bad for a guy who probably got picked last for kickball. Now here's where it gets funny. Madison was super serious about the Constitution, but not everyone was on board. Some folks thought it gave the government too much power. So he teamed up with Alexander Hamilton and John Jay to write anonymous essays called the Federalist Papers. They were like the 18th century version of a blog convincing people to say yes to the plan. Imagine Madison scribbling away, muttering, "Trust me, this'll work." And guess what? It did. The Constitution was ratified in 1788, and Madison was a star. But he wasn't done. People were still worried that the government would have too much power. They had just fought for freedom from one tyrant and were not going to subject themselves to another. So Madison wrote the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution that cover freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to bear arms, and the right to not have soldiers crash on your couch. He's basically saying, here's your rule book, America. Don't mess it up. Now let's jump ahead to 1801. Madison's a big deal now, and his friend, President Thomas Jefferson, made him Secretary of State. Madison was in charge of handling wars and international trade. This included guiding the president on how to handle America's first foreign war, the Barbary War with the Tripoli pirates. Then, in 1809, he became president himself. At 57 years old, he was the smallest president ever. Imagine him standing on a box to give speeches. His wife, Dolly, was the real MVP, though. She loved James and threw epic White House parties, including ice cream. But being president isn't all cake and ice cream. In 1812, America got tangled in another war with Britain again. Yeah, the War of 1812. Britain was attacking American ships and enslaving American sailors. Madison decided to fight back. It was a mess. Armies clashed, ships sank, and in 1814, the British burned down the White House. James and Dolly had to run for it while Dolly saved a painting of George Washington by ripping it off the wall. The war ended in 1815 with no real exchange of land, but America fought off the mighty British Empire again and survived. Madison looked like a champ for holding it together. He finished his presidency in 1817 and headed back to Montpelier with Dolly. James retired to farm, read, and relax. He lived to be 85 years old and died on June 28, 1836. James Madison was the last of the founding fathers. So what is James Madison's big legacy? Well, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are certainly his gold stars, but his ability to fight off the British Empire is certainly up there as well. Madison was small but mighty. He gave us the blueprint for America, fought off an empire, and proved that brains beat brawn. Thank you, friends, for joining me on this journey through the life of the father of the Constitution, fourth President of the United States, James Madison. Don't forget to check out our brand new free ebook about our founding fathers, including James Madison, called Behind the Wigs, The Untold Stories of America's Founding Fathers. If you're watching on YouTube and you like this podcast, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. God bless you all, and see you again next week.